Hi, so I am at the British Library. I've just been to the Terror and Wonder exhibition. We weren't allowed to take any photographs in there, so I'll just make a little note to remind myself of what it was that we saw. So it started off with showing the original first editions of Horace Walpole, who wrote the very first Gothic novel, which was called, if I remember right, The Castle of Otranto. And this goes way back, sort of pre-French Revolution. And he was taking the ideas of Shakespeare, of ghosts and the supernatural, and trying to put them into the novels of the time, which he thought had become boring, but he wanted to make them fantastical, and he wanted to make them interesting and filled with fantasy and action and adventure. And he liked the idea of spine-tingling supernatural elements. So he took that, and the public got a real taste for it, and people started to write these books until the French Revolution, when we watched people getting heads chopped off and lots of bloodletting and barbarism. And it was so shocking and filled with horror that the novels of the time started to move in that direction. So they still had the supernatural element, but now they started to put in this really blood and guts and decay and degeneration that was built into it as well. And that set the tone for Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And Frankenstein was the game changer. Frankenstein was the one where people realised you could do all of these different things in literature. And it was quite nice. I actually got to see the handwritten manuscript, Mary Shelley's handwritten manuscript for Frankenstein. The big pieces for the exhibition that I really enjoyed was probably more for the modern things, and especially in the film. Big thrill for me, huge thrill for me, was the scrapbook from The Shining, from the movie. It's quite a big thing in the novel, and they actually had a reprint of the novel with Stanley Kubrick's handwritten notes. But the scrapbook features very largely in the novel, and a lot of it was filmed for the Kubrick version and then not included in the film, but the scrapbook can be seen, and huge efforts went into building this scrapbook. So to actually be able to look at it and to be able to see a few pages and read the articles of death and destruction and things that happened at the Overlook Hotel was quite good. Other cool things for me: Clive Barker's handwritten screenplay for Hellraiser. Is reading the scene where Pinhead comes up and says, "We'll tear your soul apart." Hand-drawn the storyboards from The Haunting. Shirley Jackson's novel The Haunting of Hill House made into one of my favourite films, The Haunting, by Robert Wise, and they had the original storyboards, these beautifully charcoal images that were, really quite large in these flip books. So that was quite a thrill. A lot of things to see, but it was, for me, what I liked, it showed the absolute birthplace of where horror began as an entertainment medium. It began with the Castle of Otranto. It went through phases of things like the French Revolution, things like Jack the Ripper in London. Every time something happened, it led on to, there was like a quantum leap. You had Frankenstein, which then led on to the Penny Dreadfuls. And I actually got to see the first edition of The String of Pearls, which is the first time Sweeney Todd appears. So it was really good. For me, really interesting. It's the sort of thing, if you like horror and literature, it's the most perfect thing.